We have two guests today, namely the Ukraine expert Dr. Colonel Reisner from the Austrian Armed Forces and Butya Freimann, the Ukraine veteran, a former German combat engineer who fights in Ukraine since 2022. In this video, Colonel Reisner asks how the combat engineer assesses the situation at the front, particularly the lack of manpower and material on the Ukrainian side. Additionally, they also talk about the complexity of lessons learned for other armed forces watching the conflict. Note, the video was recorded on 25th November 2024, so major changes since then are of course not accounted for.
How do you assess the situation along the front lines? Because what I have said, the problem is that the Ukrainians are struggling to get people up to the front lines, and the ones I'm talking to, especially to the south of Pokrovsk, the thing is they're pretty much running out of people actually, because the trenches are only down to 40-50%, and that means there are some gaps. The Russians are able to find these gaps. They don't care about the losses, and then they break through, and they have another 1 kilometer which they have occupied, and then the next wave is coming, and so on and so on. And this is very frustrating for the Ukrainians.
To be honest, it's also not so clearly. So it depends completely on which unit we're talking about. So there are some units who are really good stocked by manpower, but actually has really not good material supplies like vehicles, heavy weapons, and so on. So sometimes you have enough people, but you struggle to get these to the zero line because you can't bring them without armor protection of an IMV, IFV, APC, or something like this. Like if you don't have it, you can't use this power you got. And also, if you don't have the firepower, you can't outgun the opposite side, and you have sooner or later to come to push back, pull back. I mean, and this is the biggest issue. There are definitely some units who have lack of manpower, but they sometimes have better equipment. So it's not really homogeneous situation.
I would even say that they try to make sure that they have some what we called what was called in the Second World War fire brigades, pretty much. So well-equipped brigade-size units, especially mechanized brigades, which are sent all over, like the 47th Mech Brigade is pretty much present all over the front line, because it's acting as some kind of a first responder. And this is what the Russians try to make sure that the Ukrainians are not able to build up new operational or even strategic reserves, more or less. May I ask one question, which is also overlooked very often, and this is tactical combat casualty care. So as you also served in foreign missions, and I did, so we were very proud of this very famous golden hour. So it was said that whenever you were hit by an IED, 60 minutes later there will be a surgeon working on you and everything will be fine. But this is not the case in Ukraine. So if you're wounded in the morning, you very likely they will not be able to evacuate you because of the drones above you. Your chances are better in the night, and if you finally get to a surgeon, very often you will face amputations, traumatic amputations, because it's the only possibility to save your life. If you're hit somewhere in the abdomen, this is pretty much like a death sentence, because no one can help you pretty much. And this is one of the things which are very often, I think, overlooked, especially now when you have this transparent battlefield.
I want to catch up 2 points right now. So first about the fire brigades you mentioned. So they are also on a certain level switch the tactics. So what I want to also to say in general is like when I hear especially from Western armies, they anticipate now lessons from Ukraine. I'm often thinking from when and where.
Yeah, right.
So the tactics and everything is changing rapidly. So you can't use the same tactics you used like 3-4 months ago today. And so one example is what you mentioned with these fire brigades. Of course, everyone knows the 47s. They get tossed everywhere where it's necessary, but even on a smaller scale. When I was still in a direct action team of our units, it was like a little, I would frame it like a light infantry special forces group. We still tried to do missions in a no-man area or no man's land or beyond. And everyone in this time, in the first or even in the first half of the second year of the war, tried to do this. But it's not possible anymore so much because of the ever ongoing surveillance. And what you do now is like you have these small scale fire brigades where you have like a regular unit which looks from the outside pretty weak in their positions, like a regular TDF unit, like this reserve units, this territorial defense units, and the Russians maybe have their reconnaissance over weeks on them. And when they actually do a push, there's out of nothing not this unit anymore in the trenches, but like a specialized unit. So this use of small units or specialized units also changed a little bit. It's more like a game against a reconnaissance versus reconnaissance and intel. Yeah, and also about the tactical casualty care. This is actually a really bitter point because I wrote about this also a few times. This golden hour is like, if you're a really lucky guy, it's like 4 hours. Yeah, this is the shortest time frame I ever saw. Um, One of my teammates had one exfil after 11 hours. He has already high temperature and shock situation and getting septic and so on. But I know from other units who has a lack of armored vehicles for casualty evacuation that they have like sometimes time frames up to 4 days. So the field medic, what they have to use and what they have to bring with them is also completely changing. Right now we looking for blood heater systems to prevent hypothermia in the field, and blood transfusion systems in the field, stuff like this, which you never have guessed you should do this in a field because it's more like a World 1, World 2 measurement.
Yeah. But you still have to say that I would say that the Ukrainian side has the tactical combat casualty care capabilities than the Russian side. Yeah? If you sometimes watch the videos from Russian casualty collection points, yeah, and if you look at the status of these soldiers, then you can see pretty much that no one took care about them. They were just dying there with horrible wounds, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a matter of triage. There was also some, I would say, more bitter days, especially among the larger battles. I can remember about some CCPs in Crimea, for example, during offensives, where the field hospital, the Role 1, Role 2, which was there, already run out completely out of medication and has to pull back to old school amputations and stuff like that. This is sometimes a matter, so, yeah, especially in larger operations.
Yeah. Like it was also last year during the Ukrainian summer offensive, especially at the beginning when they were trapped in these minefields. Yeah.
Note, this is one video out of a longer talk between the two. There will be more in the future, so stay tuned. Big thank you to Dr. Colonel Reisner and Butya Freiman for this talk. Thank you for watching and see you next time.